All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. One of the things I like about doing this show is, and the fact that I've been doing it for as long as I have, is I often get to catch up with artists who have been on the show years prior and sort of see where they're going and see where they've been. And it almost seems like I can go back, with repeat guests every few years and sort of track their career as musicians that way. And the guests on this episode are, I think you fit into that category quite well in that you've been on the show a few times over the years. But it's been, I think, 4 or 5 years since the last appearance. So I'm sure there's a lot to talk about, and I think the best way to start it off is if the two of you want to introduce yourselves, give a bit of background about what you do, and we can go from there.
Yeah, so I'm Corey,
And I'm Erin.
and we are Two Crows for Comfort. We're a folk Americana duo based out of Manitoba here. And yeah, we've been playing together for, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years. We have
We
no
lose
idea.
track.
We lose track. Just touring around and just playing as much as we can and
Well,
writing, recording, do all those things.
maybe that's a good place to start is the touring around because I feel like I follow you on social media, and it seems like every time I happen upon your page or it comes up in my my feed or whatever, you're in some, I don't want to say exotic location, but you're in interesting spots, right? Like you seem to be not only touring a lot but also picking sort of I don't know if they're unusual places or just places that seem maybe a little bit different from the average touring artist that I interview on the show.
Yeah, we it's funny, we spend a lot less time. Usually when you're touring, you kind of hit up all the more major cities,
Yeah.
which is typically the opposite of what we do. We do some of the cities, but we find I get stranger places than what would be on a normal tour route for sure. We just got back from the far west desert in Texas, down all the way down at the Big Bend National Park, which is like it's right on the Mexican border. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Very isolated.
But we played a week full of shows down there,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, super isolated ghost town community. And but those are the places we fall in love with. So we just kind of keep finding those special little places.
Do you, I mean, are you actively seeking those out, or do these opportunities just sort of arise, or if you're already in that part of the country sort of thing?
That one specifically was recommended to us by a friend,
The first time we
the
went down.
very first time,
This was the fourth.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
fourth
Okay.
time because we just love it so much. And but yeah, I mean, like word of mouth and recommendations and stuff comes up a lot. Like it's 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 hard to play in a lot of cities because they're so saturated and so much competition. It's a lot of times out of those cities that we find a little bit more success, and it's sometimes is just through people being like, "Hey, I live blank and it's 45 minutes from whatever major city,"
Yeah.
and then we it's easier to have better shows there because it's just a little bit less going on in those towns, and a lot of that is just through all the people we've met and just giving us suggestions, and we just kind of we're
Roll with
willing to
it.
go anywhere, so we just kind of say, okay, let's try it, and then yeah, we
Well,
fall in love.
I'm sure I've asked you this before, but I feel like your sort of model as a band, in the sense that you have acoustic instruments, you can pretty much just pack up and go. I feel like it lends itself to being able to do those kinds of trips. Whereas if you were, like a five-piece band hauling a bunch of amps around and stuff, you maybe would not be as easy to find those off the beaten path locations.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
kind of talk about all the time how hard it probably is. Like it must be. I think it'd be so much fun to tour with a full band, but it's got to be so hard too. Like even logistically and where you can play, and we can show up in a tiny little coffee shop that barely we can squeeze into and have a successful night. And not that you can't do that with a bigger band, but I feel like we're just able to be super adaptable
Yeah.
because of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and play in these kind of niche places where maybe you might not be making $1 million that you need to pay all your band and all your crew. Like we can afford to make a little less. Um, and yeah, yeah,
Well, and you can do you can stay true to the actual sound of your records too, without, I mean, a lot of people, they could do stripped down tours where they don't have all of that bells and whistles, but sonically it would be different. But what you're doing
yeah.
on record and live, it works, as a pretty basic thing in
Yeah.
both senses.
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, you've been doing this for this undetermined amount of time, and you're still actively out there. You're touring, you're playing a lot of shows, you're releasing music. I guess, it's been maybe 4 years since the last time I had you on the show. how have things progressed since then? Because I know you've released more music, and sonically, everything I've heard from you has changed a little bit over the years, and there's been sort of new sounds coming in, and you obviously have this much more experience performing together and writing together and playing together. How would you say the sound has shifted sort of over the time that you've been doing this?
Yeah, I think like I feel like we've just been able to it's hard because I want to say simplify, but I feel like we've gotten more intelligent with um arrangement and how we and more so like our live performance.
Okay.
Um Intelligence, I don't mean that sounds kind of arrogant. I don't mean it that way, but I just feel like it's more our record stuff is always it's changed a little bit, but I feel like our live sound is it's still true to what we were doing at the start, but it feels, and maybe it's just from playing so much for years and years, it
Yeah.
just feels more. I'm trying to find the right word. I don't know. Maybe it's just comfortability in
Maybe.
that the sound itself hasn't really changed, but the quality, I guess, because we've done so much. I don't know. That's a hard. It's a good question. I'm trying to think of the right answer.
And it's also part like kind of that hard thing with recordings of like you're right where we can try and make ourselves like as the duo sort of reflect that sound, but also we don't always I mean, it's hard to do that, but we also sometimes feel like the album isn't when someone might listen to the album, it doesn't necessarily always reflect our live show. So I
Sure.
think we just
Sure.
take like a lot of like we love the touring. That's our main like we just love it. Like we love the live performance. So it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
The live shows I feel like where we would maybe be able to have like tracked our journey of it.
Yeah, I think that's probably where our like where we've sonically changed the most.
Okay.
Just yeah, just being having a stronger live show. I think like our records, we've always been obviously proud of them, but we've never been insanely stoked on them. Which is like we've always like trying to balance, and you kind of mentioned earlier, like being able to pull off being a duo but still do our records. And like we've always tried to balance that. I feel like we haven't written the next record, but we have most of it written, or
Okay.
we haven't recorded it, I mean, but most of it's written. I feel like we finally maybe figured out what we want to do that's recorded, but also similar to our live sound. And that's taken this long to do. So maybe we finally figured that out. We'll see. We haven't recorded it, so we'll see. But sorry, that was like the world's longest
No,
no
no,
answer.
it's okay, and I guess you're in a position where you can do that. You can not give long answers, but that you can
That
sort of
too.
yeah, that too. But you can sort of explore how it changes over time. Because
Yeah.
do you even notice the changes, or do you sort of wake up one day and be like, "Hey, that song is really good," or is it sort of obvious that you're getting tighter, or you're getting, maybe the harmonies are better, maybe the songwriting is stronger, whatever it is that's sort of been developed over time, or is it just kind of because you're together all the time? I mean, and you're
Mhm.
playing all these shows, like, is it noticeable that there's been whether it's improvements or shifts or anything in the sound?
For me, I really notice it when we take a pause, like if we pause. Like we don't typically have a lot of long breaks in our schedule, but we had like I want to say like November, December was quiet for us. We were home, we were up in Winnipeg Beach here, and we hadn't played for like a good month. And then we went and played, and I was like, holy smokes, we are rusty. We're not tight, we're not polished, all these things. And I was like, that's where I notice it. I don't
Okay.
really notice it over time. Like if we're playing steady, like we'll play steady, several gigs a week for months and months and months. It's when we take that pause that I'm like, holy smokes, we need to brush up. We need to be tighter. When we're playing, I don't really notice it, but
Like when we're consistently
we can tell
playing.
we feel good, like we feel good and comfortable, but it's truly when we take a pause that I'm like, okay, we got to be better.
And then how
Yeah.
long does it take
Yeah.
to get back up to snuff after that? Like, it's got to be pretty quick, I imagine, eh?
Yeah, it's
A
usually pretty
couple nights
quick.
in a row.
Yeah, I would say a couple nights. Like the first night, and it depends on the material too. Like we do some shows where it's like we're just slinging covers for a couple hours, and then that's kind of easy because those are always in the back of our mind. But if we have to, like, we also do super intimate shows where we're talking a lot about the songs, and And sometimes it'll take me a couple nights to get comfortable with the story aspect of that too, and like breathing because we talk so much and we're obviously sing so much. I was like, I don't remember how to breathe properly when we're doing this and run out of breath. And so usually after a couple nights, I feel pretty good. But yeah.
So if people want to see you on tour, they should wait wait till after the first couple
Yeah,
of
don't
Yeah,
shows.
come to the
don't
first
don't
show.
do the kickoff show.
Yeah,
Definitely don't do the kickoff show. No, we're like, yeah, only if we haven't played in a while.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
So like, how much of the year would you say you're on the road? Because it does seem like again, just from sort of following you online, you seem to be in a lot of places that aren't here.
Yeah, that's a good question. We kind of changed our plan a bit.
Yeah, we spent 2022 and 2023. I think 2022 we were 8 months like fully away because we had went away in our little camper, and then the next year, 9 months of the year gone.
Wow.
This past, and then the next year was maybe four, but then two at another time.
Yeah, we kind of changed like instead of doing one big chunk, it was like gone for a few months, home for a few weeks, gone for a month, home for a couple weeks. Like, but then still gigging around Manitoba.
Yeah.
So that I have no idea. Like, we're probably consistently gigging. I mean, we were basically consistently gigging for a few years, like nonstop. Now we're a little bit quieter because we're based here now, and we can kind of come and go a little bit more, as
Yeah.
opposed to just trying
More
to
smaller chunks
hustle.
instead of one giant one where
Yeah,
we
yeah,
it's a big undertaking to
to plan.
plan that kind of chunk of time as
Yeah,
I
opposed
imagine,
to
yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
What
yeah.
this is just like my own selfish interest because I love Winnipeg Beach. But how long have you been there? Like I used to, my parents had a cottage there when I was a kid. I
Yeah.
spent like most of my summers there. I love that town. How long have you been living out there?
We've been here. We bought this little place in, was it summer of 24?
Yeah.
Summer of 20, fall of 23. Fall of 23,
Yeah,
and
fall
we
of
owned it for
23.
10 days. It was like it needed a lot of work. And we owned it for like 10 days and then we were leaving for 9 months. So it wasn't really until almost a year later that we actually started being in here and doing some renovations and that. So like we've actually been residents since, 24 or spring or summer of 24. So not
Okay.
that long, but long enough to infiltrate the community and
But less than a year have we been like in the house with it
yeah.
like
Yeah,
renovated and
yeah.
like ready.
Yeah, we're still super new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What is it like being in that community, as creative people when I mean obviously there's a lot of people who do live there, but I mean the bulk of the population is there for the summer and then gone, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that I know you're on tour for part of the year anyway, but there's a lot of things around that whole area that are just non-existent, aside from a few months sort of in the height of the summer. What is that like? I mean, are there local shows you can play? Are there opportunities sort of in the off season locally for you in the Interlake area and stuff?
Yeah, like here specifically, a new restaurant opened up and we've actually played there quite a few times
Oh,
called
cool.
Midnight Annie's. And
Is that
it's
where Valentino's used to be?
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So that has a wicked little stage, a wicked sound system. And we've had some really, really fun shows there. And like the community here, there's so little to do here in the winter
yeah,
that like on music nights, every single time is you can't get in. Like reservations, they're sold out. Like there's good luck getting a table, which is great. Like the community loves it, which is super cool. That's really been really nice. And then the Ship and Plow up in Gimli, obviously, we're playing there on the 24th of
Oh, cool,
April.
cool.
With a friend from
Yeah,
Victoria,
with
Louise LeBlanc.
yeah, yeah, and so that's sweet too. I mean, the Ship and Plow right there for music, and they're legendary with getting everybody that goes plays there is like across the country or Manitoba legends,
For sure,
which is
yeah. I'm jealous of. I look at their. I follow them online too, and I look at a lot
yeah,
of their stuff, and it's like, oh, I wish I was in Gimli right now.
I know.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty
I
cool.
know the shows they put on like literally multiple shows a week.
We're
It's
like,
just all the best
Yeah,
artists in the province. Yeah, it's
yeah, it's pretty
crazy.
cool. Pretty
Yeah.
cool. Does living where you do, does it influence you as far as songwriting, whether it's like overtly or just maybe subconsciously? Do you feel like having this kind of semi-isolation in a community without a lot of people?
Yeah, I mean I love the summer's the totally different story. It's just bustling and like good luck isolating here. but in the winter is just a ghost town. Like our streets are so quiet. There's only a few full-time residents on our street. So it's like we could literally just sit in our house, and especially with the flexibility of what we do, that pure isolation is like the best for just sitting and trying to write. No distractions, barely any traffic on the roads going by. It's so quiet. I love it. I love it a lot. Yeah.
Does it help conceptually too, or is it just being able to get into the kind of the brain space for it?
So far, just the brain space. Haven't I'm sure there'll be something that will pop in. Sometimes it just takes me a long time to be inspired by my surroundings, but I'm sure there will be. So far, it's just the isolation, which I crave sometimes, which has been awesome.
Yeah, I can see that out there. I mean, like
Yeah.
I was usually there in the summers, but I mean,
Yeah.
I have been there in Gimli and other places like that in the winter, and it is that kind of just barrenness is sort of awesome.
Yeah, it's nice. It's quiet. It's
Yeah.
dang quiet, and I love it. Yeah.
One of the things that about your music in general that is that like it always seems to me like even if I'm listening to one of your songs and it starts off with one of you singing, it seems like pretty much every song has both of you, maybe not equally on the vocals, but there's definitely I find it's rare in your catalog to have one where it's just one of you sort of highlighted, and you're both very involved, vocally, especially in every song. How do you write? Is everything written together, or does one of you bring a song idea and then you sort of develop it as the two of you, or how does that work?
It's typically I'll do the like all the initial writing. There's times when I'll come to Aaron and just like, hey, help me fill this out, help me fill this out. Most of it is like I'll come with a pretty solid structure and lyrical on that, and then Aaron comes in and I'm like, I'm not singing this. I need like I'll write it beyond my capabilities for sure. And I'll be like, here's kind of a generic melody. Just do whatever you want and make this better because you will make it better. Um, and then we just polish things over time. Like, how the song starts is after playing it for 2 months, not it's the same, but it's changed a lot. And that's just
Yeah.
kind of we just kind of bounce that off each other live. We'll play it for a couple nights and be like, oh, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this, or I'm gonna go this direction, follow me. And yeah, yeah.
Well, that sort of brings up another question then is how you've been doing this as long as you have. You have previous records with a lot of material on them. How many of the songs are like, how long do these songs stick around? Are you still playing songs from your first album? And then if yes, have they are they recognizable, to how they were when you first wrote them?
Yeah, I think so. Like there's definitely from the very first album, there's probably
4 or 5.
I would say, yeah, I
Oh,
would. It depends because sometimes we bring back the super deep, what we thought are like deep cuts in our favorite songs that we never play. We'll
Yeah.
bring those back. Like we started doing one a couple times very recently that's like we just never play it. But some of like the main songs from that album, we will still play in our set today. Um, I can think of three off the top of my head that I'm like, these are still, we feel really good about these, and they actually probably haven't changed
the
that much.
first album.
Yeah.
I think the first album stayed for a while. We're one song that has always been a staple in the set from the first album is Mountains of Stone.
Mm.
And for a time period, we played it fully. We like fully changed the ending. And then we played it like that for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, yeah.
And then all of a sudden one day we were like, let's try and do it the other way. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. We did
Then
that.
we did switch it back, I think.
Yeah, we did.
But sometimes we play around with things or we'll mess around with intros. Like
Yeah, we'll change up the intros or the solo sections, or we'll just
definitely all recognizable
yes, yeah, yeah,
to be
definitely.
the song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's fun to change around some of the older stuff that we have been playing for that many
Yeah,
years and just like,
yeah. The arrangements will typically change, but you'll know what it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right, you're not doing the Bob Dylan thing where it's this song that like yeah,
Oh,
people have heard 100 times and they
Yes.
have no clue what it is anymore. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What makes a song make the cut to sort of be continued in your set? I mean, like what it might not be something you're conscious thinking about either, but I mean, some of these songs from the date back 7, 8, 9 years. Do you think there's something about them that makes them sort of withstand time and changes in your sound and growth as artists?
Yeah, I think like I feel like we have a pretty good sense of, and it's not always about just doing what people seem to like, but I mean that obviously is a big part of it. I feel like we have a good sense of we know we don't necessarily know what's going to connect, but we know when it does connect
Sure.
that you can just tell by reaction. Like we'll try a song a few times, even if it's like a new one, and we're like, this just isn't working. Is it us? Is it them? We don't know. And then there's some songs that you're just like, oh man, they were hanging on to that. They were listening to every single word, whatever it is. I don't know. We kind of just, and we try to play all the songs live quite a bit first, to get that sense, and then that's how we'll know if it'll make the cut.
I also think a little bit of a piece of it, specifically for like kind of what Corey was saying before. Sometimes we do nights where like we're just playing covers or a mixture or whatever, but when we're doing our more intimate or like attentive, really like shows that we are our more favorite type of shows to do, I think a lot of the songs like are connected in a way that you can weave like the
You
the
would,
story
yeah,
between them.
Okay.
And so I think that's part of it as well. Like even across all three albums, like this song from album one can lead into this song from album three, can lead into this song from album two. And that I think people do enjoy that
Mhm.
side of it and being able to sort of,
Yeah, and that's probably ties into what songs we're still playing from the first
yeah.
album, that because there definitely is a cohesiveness. Like sometimes it feels like some nights if we tailor our set list properly, it's like 2 hours of a concept album is what
Yeah,
it
yeah,
it
yeah.
can almost feel like. And then yeah, and then maybe that's just why it works sometimes too. And
Yeah,
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
Is that how planned is that, or are you just happening to write about things that mesh well together?
I guess. Or maybe I just don't have very many ideas. And I'm just
Just
rewriting the
same
same
subject
thing
matter
on
over and
each
over again.
album.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
possible.
yeah,
That's very possible. No, not I would say not thought out at all. Either lucky or again, idea quantity is low.
yeah.
Uh yeah.
But we
It's
kind of almost just realized that a little bit
mhm.
more recently
It's
that
very
Okay.
recent.
like it was sort of a recent realization just I think from doing more of those style of shows and kind of then all planning, well, actually that song into this one. And I think that's also part of some of the new songs that will be on the next album that sort of we started playing those and we were kind of just like, oh yeah, actually that song into that is
Mhm,
fun. Like
mhm.
it may so maybe I think that's kind of what brought
Yeah.
on that like, oh wait, and then like look at that song into that one.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. It does make sense. And I don't think it's like I know we're joking about not having ideas for songs, but I don't think it's that unreasonable for someone to have sort of subject matter that they often go to as, or not even subject matter, but sounds and
Yeah.
vibes, if you want to call it that. That sort of, yeah. I mean, you can write what you know, right? So if what
Yeah.
you know matches with the other thing you know, then it's gonna
Yeah.
sync up well together. Yeah, yeah.
I think so.
So you mentioned you have new songs, you haven't recorded them yet. What sort of timeline are you looking at as far as eventually putting out another record,
Uh
or is it too early
January
to
January 2026. So
2026?
we're a little bit behind
Okay,
schedule.
took me a second there. Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, a little bit behind. My goal was to throughout the winter finish like I feel good about 8 songs now, I think. 3 of them or 4 of them Aaron hasn't even heard yet.
Okay, okay.
But I feel pretty good about I would say 8. So I want to finish at least 10. Um, and then the goal was to record it this winter, and this winter is closing pretty quickly. So I don't know. I wish we had I probably do need to set a timeline or a deadline, because otherwise it's just so easy to push back. But we just get so busy with other stuff and other things get in the way, and then we like we tour a lot that it's just like bouncing in and out of those modes of tour mode versus planning for the tour and prepping for the tour versus getting home and just isolating and writing and recording. Like,
Yeah,
for me, it's just two totally different mindsets that I have a hard time unless I'm dedicated to it for a pretty good chunk. It's hard for me to flip flop. Like, if we were to come home from tour and then be like, okay, we're gonna record one song and then sit for a month and not do anything. Like, I'm just not,
get into the
I don't
zone.
love that. So
yeah.
I'd rather, have this all ready and then say, okay, we're not gigging for a month, whatever the time, whatever it is, a month, 2 weeks, whatever. And then we are not leaving. We're just recording. Um, so hopefully I don't know when that'll happen soon for sure.
Okay.
We're getting close to, I would say we're close to being ready. But then the whole process after that obviously is long, the mixing, mastering, getting the physical copies.
For sure. So at some point in the future, I mean, the good thing
It'll
about
be
this,
in the future.
yeah,
I can tell you that.
this is a podcast, so someone could hear it the day it comes out, or they could hear it a year from now. Maybe by then you'll be closer to it. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
True.
So
I
yeah,
could
It might
kind of
forever be in
predicting.
the future. If
that's
they're
right. Yeah,
listening to
yeah,
it 3 years from now, it still could be the future.
Yeah.
yeah. But then by the time I eventually get you back on the show again, it'll be maybe
Yeah.
it'll exist then. Yeah.
We might, by 4 years later, if we could do this again in 4 years, we might have it ready by then.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
fair.
Okay. Yeah. I'll set that deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. If people are hearing you for the first time on this show, or if they're hearing you again and want to check out your music, what's the best way to for them to do that? Where would you direct them?
I mean, we hate to say it, but Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, wherever you stream music is, let's say Bandcamp number one.
Bandcamp is
Uh,
yeah, that's yeah.
that's the best way we want people to. But sadly, that's not the majority right now. Basically, just put our name in whatever streaming service or Google or YouTube or whatever. Two Crows for Comfort. That's just the easiest way to do it.
And then I imagine people can pick up physical copies at shows
Yes.
and
Yeah, yeah, it shows vinyl, CD. Um, yeah,
cool.
let's say we'll mail it. We'll do whatever to get you a copy of our CD. Come on, we know.
Oh,
We'll do anything.
Awesome. And because this show exists perpetually, and it could be 10 years from now by the time people listen to this, where should they go to find out information about upcoming shows, and upcoming releases and things like that?
Yeah, so the probably just our website, www.twocrowsforcomfort.com. We have all our shows are listed on there. You can get links to tickets. You can see what we're up to, future shows, past shows, videos, things like that. That's usually just the best, I think. Instagram, Facebook, social media.
we're pretty good about.
Just find it on there. We try to be somewhat consistent in posting,
Yeah.
Just to let
I feel
people
like you
know.
are. I feel like I see your pictures of tour stuff and dogs, and
It's
that's
pretty much
definitely
it.
That's
enough.
mainly
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
mainly it. It's like selfies if we need somebody to really see what we're trying to promote.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Other than that,
then
it's our dog, other dogs.
just dogs, a lot of dogs. Yeah.
I think that's why I see so much of your stuff because I follow lots of dog accounts on the
Yeah,
internet.
Yeah,
So
they're
it's
like, he's gonna love this.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So if you like dogs and folk music, you should
Yeah.
check out Two
Yeah.
Coast for Comfort.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.